Brace yourself. You're about to enter the SKOLHole, where we talk anything and everything Minnesota Vikings. Don't forget to bring a change of clothes. It might get dirty. Here are your hosts, Draft Season's Own, One Bar, and Lux.
You smell that?
I just farted.
Nope.
From the front.
It smells much better than that. It smells like draft day is coming up.
You know what? I think it's officially. Well, I mean, we're 1 week away. Can we call
1 week?
Can we call it draft week?
You're damn right we can. It's 1 week until draft week. Guess what? 1 week from now, 1 week and about two extra days, we're gonna have a whole bunch more new Vikings, and I am getting very excited. Very excited.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot more purple in Minnesota. That's for damn sure. That is for certain. Today we're gonna talk about some late rounders.
Yes, we've talked about pretty much every round so far, and this is kind of my favorite part of the draft. When you get those late round gems, you get the guys that are falling out down the board that have no right to be there.
Yeah,
like a Rufus Alexander.
You know what? Don't get me started on Rufus. I thought he was going round 2. We got him around 6 at that Hall of Fame, and he
sucked.
He didn't pan out.
I think he tore an ACL though. He did something very bad early in his career, but yeah, he sucked.
Yeah, he wasn't good. You know what? Here's one thing though. I mean, the first round, second round, third round, those get all the attention. I mean, the first round especially, that's where all the drama is. Second and third round is still pretty fun to watch when the guys come out, the ex-players come out and announce the names. The rounds 4 through 7, that's wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Names are coming off the board fast and furious. It's fun to watch. So, there's a couple of things I love watching about day 3. When guys start falling, a lot of times it's because there's an injury that we don't know about. A guy you think's going around 1 or round 2 is still on the board round 5 or 6, and you just start watching that guy and see where he's going to finally get picked.
That's where you get guys like Robert Blanton, game changers. No. That's where you get guys like Mickey Schuler.
No, those aren't the guys I was thinking
That's where you guys get like Travis Bond, guys that are going to make an impact day 1, baby.
Those are all shitty picks. Before we start talking about guys, the Vikings, we'll talk about past, we'll talk about guys we want this year. I want to talk about little day 3 memories. How about some draft memories from day 3? Anything that comes to mind for you?
Day 3 memories?
Yeah. Some of the most awkward moments I can remember from the draft have come from day 3. Do you remember the year they had Bill Cosby out there?
Yeah.
Because Quan Cosby was he was from Texas. He was wide receiver. That was some of the most awkward television I've ever seen in my life.
Quan Cosby, just a quick note here, was a former interviewee. And I actually liked him quite a bit. But yeah, Bill Cosby sat there wearing a helmet, not really talking.
It got weirder and weirder.
And they kept going to him. ESPN. I mean, this wasn't like a local station. This was ESPN.
I actually wanted him to get drafted so this would stop. It got so damn uncomfortable.
He did fall a lot further than he should have. I don't think they were
drafted.
expecting that. I think he did get drafted.
Well, if it was
I think
super
the Bengals
late.
drafted him.
I probably passed out before he was picked. Another thing, too, was, what's his name? The old Matt Millen. He said something very, very offensive early in the draft, that day 3. And then he had to come out later and do a very awkward, uncomfortable apology.
Yeah, you're right. What was that? I remember that.
He said, I think it was some kind of, not German, but some kind of slang for like a German that was not very friendly.
Yeah, and then it was just dead silent, and he was, you're right.
Polish
so, he had to do an apology, which deep down I enjoyed. I shouldn't have, but he was so awkward.
It was horrible. I
don't know. I guess day 3 memories have a lot to do with Jamarcus Sanford and guys like Trevor Guyton.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. So the Vikings. Let's talk about some guys they've hit on in the past. We've had some decent success in the late rounds. Rick Spielman's done okay. So
really,
you want to give me a couple?
I don't know. I guess, late round, I'm not including Stephon Diggs in this. I'm not really counting round 5. I'm counting more round 6. Mm-hmm. I guess, obviously ones that stick out are Stephen Weatherly. He's with a little seasoning. He's panned out well over the years. Jaron Kearse, hell of a special teamer. But I'm not going to give them a pass and say they've done quite well. I'd say they did all right.
Well, there's more names here. You got Shamar Stephen from 2014. He developed into a starter, and he'll probably start again this year. David Morgan's been a solid tight end. Was he second right now on the team on the depth chart? Good blocker. Every now and then he'll make a pretty key catch. And just look to last year, a couple of undrafted guys in Holton Hill and Mike Boone. So
Boontang.
right there, you got 6 guys.
Well, you got to look at it. You got to look at it this way. Every year, the Vikings end doing so many trades. They usually have like 3 6-rounders and like 3 7th-rounders. So that's not a ton of names that are coming out of this.
Well, but you got to compare it to everybody else. I don't know. Everybody else is doing much better. And I'm looking through the history. It seems like almost every other year they have a couple guys that they hit on, and they'll have the next year they just miss on everybody late, and then next year they'll have a couple. So maybe we're back on the good year cycle.
Well, there's one thing that is very clear. Regardless if they pan out, come round 6, come round 7, there's always a crap ton of guys that everybody has projected in round like 3 and 4 that are there, and there's a chance the Vikings take them, but it always proves to be the reason why they're still on the board. Well, like it's exciting to get that big name from college, but they end up being turds.
But not always. I mean, look at like Eric Decker fell pretty far. I don't remember where he was drafted, but
he was like a 2nd-round pick.
I thought he was 3rd. I'm just saying, like a guy who was injured, and teams just kind of shy away from that, and you see that happen a lot of times. They're still around 6. I think the Vikings need to jump on those kind of guys who have an injury, who maybe haven't quite recovered yet, but that's the value.
Decker was a 3rd-round pick. Congratulations. But for every Stephen Weatherly, there is about 10 to 15 Austin Shepherds.
Yeah, you keep hitting at these
Brandon
names.
Watts.
So let's talk about some real turds. You've mentioned a lot. You've been dropping turds kind of sneakily here throughout the podcast.
I got a whole lineup of turds here.
Well, one that comes to mind right away for me is Kendall James. He's a 6th-round pick in 2014. He didn't do anything for the Vikings. I think I did hear his name, though, in the AAF just recently. I don't think he signed with anybody, but, man, what a turd he was.
Yeah, Kendall James, that was the year of Jabari Price, which, teams were actually people were actually excited about the Kendall James Jabari Price. Jabari Price got a little bit of run. I think he might have been a little bit of turd off the field, but Kendall James, not great. Brandon Watts, that was the same year of David Yankee, who was very excited in round 5. I think he was from Stanford.
I thought he was going round 2 that year.
Yeah, we got Yankee, and he turned out to me not great.
I think you yanked me when we got Yankee.
I think we yanked each other.
Yeah, we did. We did a little Dutch ruddering.
Yeah, and my giant turd, who I was let's see, hold on, I got him up here. My giant turd is fairly recent. It's Maurice Boehringer.
Yeah, I thought about him.
That's almost an awkward moment right there. When you talk about awkward moments, it was very forced. They kept showing the Vikings war room. They knew they were going to take him. If there was 12 rounds in this draft and the Vikings didn't take him, he probably still would have went undrafted.
Yeah, I think they maybe spent like 20 minutes of pure TV time talking about Moritz Boehringer.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It was a good story. He was very excited to be drafted, but that was not great.
It wasn't. And you know what wasn't great either? When we drafted B.J. Dubose. I think he had a lot of cellulose. He didn't do anything for us. And I have one more turd, and this one really hurts me because I was very excited when we got this guy. I had high hopes for him, and I think I might have cried because he made the team, and then he was a late cut. Like we signed like a punter or something and cut this guy. Bucky Hodges.
I got Bucky Hodges. Everybody was excited about Bucky Hodges from Virginia Tech. He was this pass-catching tight end, playmaker. I mean, this Bucky Hodges was a guy that had in 3rd, 4th round, and we get him in the 6th round.
Yeah.
And after we cut him, I think he might have signed with one other team and just cut right away.
He was a Steeler.
But that's one of the examples of the guys that just rip it up in college, hot name, and then he's just shit. So
they should have called him Sucky Hodges.
I got Sucky Hodges as my most beloved guy that turned out to be nothing, and Weatherly is the guy who has been our steal, and Boehringer is being the full-blown turd. So always fun in those late rounds. And I can't wait for this year. I think we're gonna get a sneaky pick this year, a real good name in the late rounds.
I hope so. So if you're gonna grade Rick Spielman and his job he's done in the late rounds, what would you give him?
I'd give him a C-.
C-.
I'm not expecting a ton in those late rounds. I'm expecting special teamers, some obviously a lot of cuts, but his 5th round has just been pretty damn gross. I mean,
I just went to 6 and beyond.
Well, that too. I'm trying to throw him a bone here, but you got the Jeff Baccas, you got Jeff Locke, you got David Yankee, Michael Pruitt, Stephon Diggs was an absolute smash, nailed it. But other than Jaron Kearse and Stephen Weatherly, which were both in the same draft, not a ton.
Yeah. I'm going to give him a B because you got 6 guys on the roster who are all 6th round or later. And I'm going to guess that's probably above average when you look at all 32 teams in the NFL. I haven't done the research. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
So we got how many?
6.
6 players on the roster.
This is 6 and after. I'm not counting Diggs. I don't know how many other fifth rounders.
Yeah,
we
but
have.
so we got that many on a team that didn't make the playoffs. And you're excited?
We got 6 contributors on an NFL team that
didn't make the playoffs. All right,
It doesn't matter.
so basically we got a whole team of 6 rounders. Got it.
That's a terrible take.
That's worth
really,
a B.
That's really poor.
No, it's
You got 6 players, and some of these guys are starters that you're getting around 6
but
or
we didn't
7
get playoffs.
or undrafted.
We should have better players.
So that's huge. So I'm going to guess that's probably above average. So I'm going to go B. I'm going B.
Agree, disagree. Let's move on to this year's draft because, like we said, it is only a week away. And we're talking late rounders, and we talk late rounders. We're talking 6th, 7th round guys, maybe a little 5th rounders in there. But let's talk about some guys who the Vikings could possibly have on their radar.
Well, I don't know about the Vikings, but they sure as hell are on my radar.
Oh.
I'm going to start. I think I talked about them a little bit when we talked about our linemen throughout the draft, but SKOLHole, the guard center from Arkansas. I love this guy. I would take him in round 5. We don't have a pick, so hopefully he's there in round 6. He's just a stout, strong, mean bastard. He can play guard or center. And I think he'd be probably your best backup right from the go. So SKOLHole, I would love you. I want you more than anything in the world.
And we don't have a 5th round pick yet. Should be the key term here because we're going to end up with one. 3rd, 4th round, we're going to get a little sad that we don't have one, and Spielman's going to make a move, and next thing you know, we're going to have like 5 5th round picks.
Probably.
All right, I'm gonna go back to the. I'm gonna go with running back Bryce Love right off the bat.
Oh, I had him too.
Bryce Love, This is a guy that nobody really knows where he's gonna go. I think everybody's on the same page as far as he's gonna be a late rounder. A lot to do with his injury that I believe happened in the last game of his college career. But you look last year. I mean, he was a 2,000+ yard rusher. He in 2018 he definitely took a step back, but horrible blocking at Stanford. He had a nagging hamstring injury all year, and then, like I said, he tore his ACL. The guy squeaked through his defenders like he's all lubed up. The big knocks on him is if he can hold up in the NFL. He's just a little guy. He's 5'9", 200 pounds, and if he can bounce back from that injury, but he'd be a good number 2, 3 guy as a rookie, and we'll see what happens. I love Bryce Love.
I think he was a lot better when he had David Yankee blocking for him.
That's not even close to where he was. He was just a little baby when David Yankee was blocking.
Yeah, I love Bryce Love too. I think I don't know. The question about him is when he's going to be ready to go. He's still coming back from the injury. I don't know if he'll be ready week 1 or not, but when he is, I think he's definitely your number 2 back behind Delvin Cook. All right, I'm going to go with a couple of tight ends here. I got Zach Gentry, who I love from Michigan. He's like 6'7". He's just, he's a mismatch. No one can really match up with a guy that big. He's kind of just finally blossoming into a receiving tight end. He really the lights came on, I think, his last year at Michigan here. I would love that guy as a backup and potential replacement for Kyle Rudolph. And there's another big tight end, Donald Parham. This dude is 6'8". 6'8".
You know who else was a huge tight end?
43 pounds. Kevin Boss?
No.
The Boss Man?
No. Richard Angulo.
Yeah.
Richard Angulo was like 9'3".
Hey.
And you know what? He turned out to be a turd, and I love that guy more than anything.
I think we got our picture. No, that was the one where I tried to get a picture of you at training camp, and I think I had the camera on myself.
No, you weren't anywhere near us. I tried to take a selfie with us, and I didn't have the camera on.
That's what it was.
You were elsewhere.
I was thinking of shit.
Don't get too excited about those big tight ends. Sometimes they don't pan out, but I love them.
I like them. I really do, and I like those two.
I'm on the same page. I love those guys. I got another. We're very offensive heavy on these late rounds. I'm going Gary Jennings from West Virginia. This guy is all over the boards. You see him as an undrafted guy. You see him as early as 4th round, but I think when all is said and done, he's going to be a 6th round guy. He's got possession receiver written all over him. He was Will Greer, one of his top targets at West Virginia. He's got good hands. He plays tough, and he returns punts. So if we were to get him in the mid to late rounds, he is actually a guy right now with our current depth chart that could battle for the number 3 spot.
How big is he?
He's got a ton of balls. He's 6'1", 214. As a junior, he caught 97 balls. He's got very good hands, and he's tough. He's a tough little bastard.
Yeah, but his name is Gary, though.
I don't care.
That's a big knock.
All it says on the back of his jersey is Jennings. You don't know his name is Gary.
That helps. That does help. I'm going to another receiver here. I'm going to go Hunter Renfrow from Clemson. This guy isn't very big. He's not very fast, but he is an excellent route runner. He's got great hands. I know maybe the knock is that maybe he's just Chad Beebe. I don't know. But this guy's super productive.
Nobody's Chad Beebe.
I do like Hunter Renfroe, and if you're sitting there late, in the 7th round, and he's still on the board, I would definitely take this guy. Why not? It's hard for guys to run routes the way this guy does. So I think Renfroe could be somebody who he could up make the team, and who knows?
Did you say he was hard when he runs routes?
I don't think I did, but I wish I would have.
He's another guy that's kind of all over the place when it comes to boards. You see him undrafted, or you see him in like round 5. So that's the best part about the late rounds. We better go to the defensive side of the ball here, because I don't think we have a single defender yet.
Most of mine are on offense, but I do have one defensive.
Well, I got one defensive guy, and it is Jamal Peters. I think I brought him up before. Mississippi State. And the thing that everybody loves about Peters
is small Peters, more like.
Well, actually, he's a big Peters, because he's 6'2", he's 218, and he's actually pretty athletic. He is absolutely a project. This is not a guy that's going to step in and try to win some playing time as a rookie.
Which is fine, because we're like 10 deep at cornerback.
Well, I'm going to be about 2.5 deep at about 10-15 tonight.
She's lucky lady. Or lucky guy, I don't know.
He's project written all over him. We've said it more than once. Everybody says it. Zimmer is the cornerback master. Give him a little bit of a project. Let him sit on the practice squad. He's a guy that'll go round 6 to undrafted, but he's a big tackler. He loves laying big hits. And with a little bit of time, he actually could be something. So I do like Jamal Peters.
I think you more than like him. I think you love Jamal Peters.
I hope he comes home. If we took a 6th-round pick with Jamal Peters, I'd be very excited.
And you don't want a corner in this entire draft.
Round 6, I don't give a shit who they take.
Well, because you'd be freaking shit-faced. I'm going to go defense. I'm going to safety, though. This guy I like. He's from Miami. He's a little bit of a thug. I like this guy, Sheldrick Redwine. He's got a great name, by the way. Let's just start with that.
I'm more of a white wine kind of guy.
Yeah, well, this guy's a red wine. He'll stain your carpets in more than one way.
Actually, I'm more of a Boone's Farm kind of guy.
Yeah, I think you're just a beer guy.
You're right.
This guy's a playmaker. He can intercept passes that are going to style. He's aggressive. He can support the run. I love Sheldrick Redwine. I think he comes in, he's your 4th safety, and then if they don't re-sign Kirsten, he bumps into that primary backup. And I don't think the defense would miss a beat if he had to step out on the field. He's aggressive. He's a playmaker. I love everything about this guy. If you get him in round 6, I think that's a hell of a pick right there.
You know what I'd say if he made a really good play?
Red wine.
Nope. Oh. Wrong part. Red wine, you make me feel so fine. You really butchered that. All right, I got one more late round guy.
I'm sorry.
Offensive line, Derwin Gray. Maryland, big man, 6'4", 320. And for being such a big fella, he's actually pretty damn quick, and he's been a starter since his sophomore. He is very strong, and along with that size, he's actually a left tackle, and in the NFL, I could see him actually being a legit backup left tackle with that size.
Hey, and we don't really have one right now.
Well, he's actually a guy, if they want, for being so big, they could move him in the guard. They could keep him at tackle. I don't see him moving the right tackle, but he's a guy that even in the late rounds could be a decent backup.
Yeah. I got more tackles, too.
I wish you were more excited about Derwin Gray.
Well, I'm excited with the guys that I like here. I like Trey Pipkins.
Pipsky could go as early as round 3, round 4.
I think that's very, very, very generous.
Sounds like we got a draft bet on our hands.
He played in Sioux Falls. He's gone against basically
Who gives a shit?
Your next door neighbor.
Brennan Fusco played against like high school teams.
Yeah, and where did he end up?
I think he had a Pro Bowl year.
I don't think he did. Trey Pipkins, he's not the strongest guy. He's very athletic. He can move. He's got big old floppy breastises. But I do like Trey Pipkins. Martez Ivy from Florida.
Another guy that could go very early.
Yeah, I don't think he will. He's pretty heavy-footed. I think he's primarily a right tackle, but he'd be a hell of a backup. I would be okay if he ever had to go in and spot duty. And we talked about him in our last podcast, a big Minnesota Gopher, Donnell Green.
Yeah, love him.
He's like 400 pounds. He's huge.
400 pounds of pure ass blocking bullshit.
But I think there's a lot of upside there. I think he's coming off an injury. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's not. But I think
he is.
Yeah. So I think he maybe is one of those guys you get later than you should because he's come back from injury. And I don't know if you're close to wrapping this up, but there's like 4 more receivers I just want to touch briefly on.
Well, I want to talk about Brandon Fusco. He did not make a Pro Bowl, but damn it, he should have made about 7 of them.
Is he still in the league?
Yes, he's on the Falcons, I believe.
Falcons. Okay. They're the ones who gave him the big contract, right?
Deserved it. Mm-hmm. No, he didn't get a big contract.
Oh, well, I like a lot of receivers here. I'm looking for a bigger receiver. So when you come to round 6, round 7, Jalen Hurd, that converted running back from Baylor. What is he, 6'3", I think?
Yeah, and he only had 1 year at receiver, and he ripped shit up. So potential is very high there. Very high ceiling for him. I love him.
He's a guy who's really growing on me like a butt zit that won't go away. Keelan Doss from, I think is he Central Florida? He's somewhere down there. I like that guy too. Good size. He had a good Senior Bowl, but he's kind of been quiet lately. You haven't heard a lot about Keelan Doss lately. Jazz Ferguson, another receiver with size.
Jazz Ferguson, that's Jalen Ferguson's brother.
It is.
And Keelan Doss went to California Davis.
That's what it was. I knew it was something weird. Is that where Maitland is?
Nope.
Oh.
He's in Butte.
He's in Butte? Jazz Ferguson, yeah, I think he's pretty big too. You got Jazz's size right there on your screen.
I think Jazz Ferguson will actually end up going. I think he's another guy that teams could just fall in love with. I like him a lot.
Yeah, well, you're not a team. And then also, this guy I think will be there late. And he might go undrafted, but I would roll the dice on this guy in round 7. Lil Jordan Humphrey. I know he had a shit combine. He really screwed the pooch on that one. But he's got size. He was productive at Texas. And you know what? Why not? One thing we don't have is a receiver, who's got size who can actually catch a football. I think Lil Jordan can do that. He's not fast, but he is big. So I think that's a guy who'd come in and give you something different in that wide receiver 3 spot.
Yeah, I'm a Lil Jordan Humphrey guy, but he had some off-field issues at Texas, and to pair that with a really bad combine that obviously he wasn't preparing for
at all
is very scary. So I wouldn't be. I like him as an undrafted free agent. I wouldn't waste a pick on him. And trust me, I love his name, and I watched his game, and I like it, but I don't know, it scares me.
But really, 7th round, why not? Why not?
Well, you're speaking of receivers, you're speaking of late round, and this is a guy that some teams have very high, but I think he's going to fall quite a bit, and I could see him as a 6th, 7th round guy, and I think Miles Boykin is going to be there very late.
Oh, no, I've been hearing the opposite on that guy lately.
From who?
Every draft Twitter account that's out
I am
there.
the draft Twitter account.
I've seen him going around 3.
I'm going to say Miles Boykin is round 6, round 7. I think he's too big.
There's your draft bet right there.
The teams aren't going to know where to play him, whether to beef him up to put him at tight end. He only's got 1 year of production, but I would love him in round 6.
Actually, I think I saw, was it Norris or Church? Someone had that guy, they said they'd take him around 2.
Well, Church is a moron.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, wow. That could be your worst draft take of all time.
We'll find out.
Worse than your
Miles Boykin, Notre Dame. We'll see.
Worse than your Rufus Alexander. All right, so you got anybody else you want to talk about?
No, I just I got a lot of guys in round 6, round 7 that I would love, and like I said, everybody loves those late rounders. They love those guys that slide. I think guys, especially when you come to quarterback, I think like guys like Brett Ripon.
Yeah.
I think he's going to go undrafted. I think we're going to see Easton Stick. It's just the best part about the draft.
McSorley.
There's no doubt about it.
Will you trace me later?
Yes.
With your fingers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to me what stuck out when I was putting my list together, I love a lot of late receivers. I love a lot of late offensive tackles. There's a couple tight ends there too, but like you said, defense, so it kind of thins out early. I don't know if I want to go defense much later than round 4.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. I think there'll be some guys that slide, and I think there'll be guys that get very excited when we take them. So we got 7 days until the draft. Like we said in our last podcast, you're going to be hearing a lot from us in the next handful of days. You might get sick of us. I doubt it, but you might. So we're going to be doing dueling mock drafts. I don't know. Okay, that sounded like dueling pornography.
Oh.
But and then we're going to be doing a Viking 7-rounder again, and we're just going to be looking really, really, really deep inside this Vikings draft.
I think we're going to just tear apart pick 18.
Damn right we are.
Yeah, we're going to really just
we're going to list every name in this draft, so we make sure we get that 18th pick right.
Yeah, we're going to go through every single pick before and really figure out who is going to be there. That's what everybody wants to know. But until then, hey guys, you're laying in bed, you can't fall asleep. Why don't you go to YouTube and type in ASMR mock draft, and you'll see me, my subtle voice, talking to my latest mock, whispering ASMR style with some nice triggers, with some tapping and some motion sounds that'll put you to sleep real quick.
I dare you. It's disgusting.